Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey Live. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are back. It is number 19 of the Goal Line Hockey Live podcast. What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday here on the East Coast, here on Long Island. It's been a pretty nice morning, and hopefully you guys are having a nice weekend. We have a lot to discuss between the events last week, my very important research and development business trip that I went on along the East Coast. We went to 4 different hockey rinks in 4 days, make that 5 games in 6 days. A lot happened last week. We have a couple of interesting things in terms of teams clinching playoff spots since the last time we met. So we're going to discuss that. Teams that have been eliminated as well. We'll talk about that as well. And of course, our featured game today, the Washington Capitals hosting the New York Rangers. The Rangers are continuing a East Coast road trip where it hasn't been too good for the Rangers. They're 0-1-1 in this stretch as they head down to D.C. So hopefully they'll have some better luck today. We also have a playoff matchup confirmed, so we'll go over that as well. We'll look at the wild card spots, how things are looking. Things are extremely intense in both the Eastern and Western Conference, so we'll go over all of that today. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Urban, PJ, Surreal? What's going on, guys? So where do I even start? Yo, we got a $1 super chat from $2 super chat from Ange. Thank you for that, babe. What's going on, guys? So, like I said, where do I even start is a really interesting thing. All right, so let's start off with the playoff picture and teams that have clinched and teams that have not. So let's start off there. So looking in the Eastern Conference, Boston has clinched the President's Trophy. Stay tuned. I have a video coming up about that very shortly. Is the President's Trophy curse legit? So I'll go over that in my video, so stay tuned for that this week. The Boston Bruins clinched the President's Trophy. Toronto and Tampa clinched playoff spots. They will be playing each other in the first round. It's not determined who will have home ice advantage, but that will be the matchup there between the 2nd and 3rd seed, the Maple Leafs and the Lightning. Carolina clinched, New Jersey clinched, the Rangers clinched, which leaves the 2 wildcard spots as the only spots up for grabs left in the Eastern Conference. You have the Islanders with 87 points, Florida with 85 points, Pittsburgh with 84, and Buffalo still hanging on with 81 points. They are 4 points back of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand on the Florida Panthers. So they are still very much alive. But things are definitely interesting right now in the Eastern Conference. Also taking a look in the Western Conference. Only 2 teams have clinched a playoff spot so far in the West. Vegas and Edmonton have clinched in the Western Conference. Meanwhile, in the wild card, you've got Seattle with 90 points, Winnipeg with 87, Calgary with 85, and Nashville with 84. So there's a 3-point gap between 3 teams, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Nashville, for that final wild card spot right now in the Western Conference. A couple of teams have been eliminated since we last met. Columbus has been eliminated. Montreal has been eliminated. Philadelphia is the most recent victim to be eliminated. So as we start to get closer, teams that are clinching, also that means more teams are being eliminated. And that's where we are at this point. So that's the latest on that front. Speaking of last night, you guys, I saw a little bit. We're talking about last night. Really interesting. A couple of major blowouts. So I didn't really miss much yesterday. I was not able to watch any of those games. But looking at most of the scores, it doesn't really look like I missed much. Whoa! Yo! What's going on, PJ? We got a super chat. $70 Canadian. Thank you so much, PJ, from the PJ soundboard. Thank you so much, PJ. He said, you think the Flames are going to make the playoffs? They are 2 points behind the second wild card. Flames got their first comeback win of the season against the Canucks. Yeah, isn't that was an incredible game. I did not watch it in person, but I watched the NHL highlights while I was working out the other day. Wow, Tyler Toffoli. Listen, I know that Huberdeau's not having a great year, and some of those guys they've brought in, like Uyghur and stuff like that, but god damn, Tyler Toffoli. It seems like any game I watch the Flames, Tyler Toffoli's either scoring the tying goal or the game-winning goal, and he did both of those the other day. I mean, incredible. An incredible win for the Flames the other night in Vancouver. But yes, as things are going down to the wire right now, PJ, if Markstrom can hold up and Toffoli can continue to score the way he is, I do think the Calgary Flames do sneak into the playoff spot. And obviously, there might be a little bit of bias with that $70 super chat, but nonetheless, thank you so much, PJ, as always. What's going on, Shazam? Big Kev, Isles dropped the ball last night. Hope they can pick it up tonight. Need some points as Florida is coming on strong. Yeah, and it's tough for the Islanders right now. The Islanders are in a 3-game stretch where they play Tampa, Carolina tonight, and Tampa again on Tuesday, where it's 3 games in 4 nights. 2 games against Tampa, 1 against Carolina. Not good matchups for the Islanders. 2 very good teams in the Eastern Conference, both cup contenders. But listen, if the Islanders want to make the playoffs, if they want to make some noise in the playoffs, they have to beat teams like Carolina and Tampa. There's no excuse here. They have to find a way to at least get 3 or 4 points out of this stretch, whether that's a win and an overtime loss, or because now you've already dropped the ball once. You really can't afford to drop the next 2 games with no points. So this is really important for the Islanders. But yes, very good point. And shout out to Shazam. PJ said, I was at Vancouver's arena for that game against the Flames. That is an incredible game, PJ. Yep. So now we have to maybe get into some of the games that I went to last week, because we went to a couple of pretty interesting games. Started off with the Islanders against the Sabres. The Islanders lost 2-0. Not a great start to the trip. Oposo in his final game against the New York Islanders, getting the game-winning goal. Nothing on Sunday, but Monday back at I almost said the Coliseum, at UBS Arena. The Islanders beat the Devils. That was a really good game there. Then we went to Philly on Tuesday, the Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens. It was nice going back to Wells Fargo Center. Really enjoyed my time there. Got a jersey, a Couturier jersey. So that means he's going to get traded because I bought his jersey 50% off at Wells Fargo Center. So I bought that jersey. So we'll see what happens here this summer. Again, stay tuned. I have a video coming up about that. I think the Flyers are in store for an overhaul to both their home and away jerseys. So that was Tuesday. Then Wednesday, went down to Washington to watch my New York Islanders beat the Washington Capitals. For the first time in over a year, the Islanders won in a shootout. An absolutely incredible game down there in D.C. Really enjoyed my time there. And that's the first time I've been there since they renamed it. I was there at the Verizon Center, and now I can officially say I've been to Capital One Arena. So that was really exciting as well. Then we capped off the weekend in New Jersey on Thursday night, the Rangers versus the Devils. Another incredible, very much of a playoff atmosphere there in the Prudential Center. Also, a venue I haven't been in some time since before the pandemic in 2020. I think the last time I was in Newark, I would say was probably 2016, 2017. So it's been 5 or 6 years. So it was nice to be down there at the Rock once again. What's going on? Hey, welcome to the chat. Go Caps. What's going on, man? PJ says Caps suck. You guys are funny. PJ said Kev Horvat is suspended for 2 games for partying hard at UBS Arena. Uh-oh. I may or may not have had something to do with that. But shout out to PJ there. I was thinking about doing a troll video for you guys yesterday saying there's a 33rd expansion team announced. The Houston, I don't know what I was going to name them, the Houston whatevers, but I didn't end up doing that. Ran out of time, but I was going to do that for you guys. It just didn't end up working out. What's going on, Luis? Welcome to the chat. I'm not going to say go Cats go today because they are on the heels of my Islanders for the first wildcard spot. So I'm definitely not a fan of the Panthers right now, but shout out to Paul Maurice. He has been calling out his Florida Panthers team. They seem to be getting the message. They played a lot better here recently. So it's very interesting to see how things are kind of going down there in Florida. They need to make the playoffs this year. This is a team that, they won the President's Trophy last year. It would be really disappointing if they didn't get back to the playoffs this spring. But I guess they weren't necessarily shocked but it definitely would be upsetting if they did completely miss the playoffs here in 2023. Surreal said it must have been great to be in the Rock for the Rangers versus Devils. Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. A ton of Rangers fans, a ton of Devils fans. I wish there was a little bit more goal scoring, but listen, that's playoff hockey, right? Well, it's boring. It wasn't a boring game by any means. But damn, a really good game and something we haven't seen from the Devils a lot this season. They held down a 2-1 lead. Vitek Vanacek played much better on Thursday than he did Monday against the Islanders. So shout out to Vitek, former Hershey Bear there. But yeah, it's definitely been kind of an interesting stretch here for the New Jersey Devils as they're trying to maybe still win that division. That's still on the table for them. Urban said, hot take, was thinking about expansion. Houston, also known as Texas, doesn't deserve another team. They black out everything except the NFL. That is a good point, Urban. And I know Urban's upset because he's down there in Texas. And, what's interesting, too, is the Minnesota North Stars ended up going down to Dallas, which inevitably became the Dallas Stars. So there's obviously that connection, too. I think some Minnesota fans are upset at the idea of another team in Texas because of that. Luis said, I'd rather have your Islanders play Boston. I'm sure you would, Luis. I'm sure you would. But yeah, it's a really tight playoff race right now. That was a big win the other night for the Panthers. They're 2 points back of the New York Islanders, same amount of wins, but the Islanders have 2 more overtime losses, which is the difference at the end of the day right now. So, Pittsburgh has just kind of given up their spot. Pittsburgh does not look good at all. Their goaltending's been atrocious. So right now, the Islanders and the Panthers really seem to be in the front seat right now for playoffs. And that's why every point matters. Every game matters. And this playoff run right now, both in the East and West, is showing you how important each and every single point means. And we're seeing that right now here with 5 games left on the schedule for the Islanders and the Florida Panthers. PJ said, Kev, when you watch Rangers games at MSG, do you wear your Rangers merch? Absolutely not, PJ. Nope. I either wear an FDNY jersey or, like I did the other night, I wear a New York Jets sweatshirt. I was not wearing a Devils jersey, and I wasn't wearing a Rangers jersey. Just as a troll job, though, especially considering the color palette with the red of the Devils and the blue of the Rangers, I did consider wearing a Flyers jersey, that bright orange jersey in Newark for a Rangers Devils game would have been kind of funny, but I didn't end up doing that. Go Caps said, going to the Caps versus Cats game on Saturday. That's going to be a really good game. Yep, that's going to be a good one. Luis said, why are you not wearing your Islanders jersey? Because they're not playing today. Our featured game is the Capitals versus the Rangers, Luis. That's the game we're watching today. And honestly, I'm cheering for the Rangers today. I just can't wear the Rangers jersey. I can't do it. But I'm actually cheering for the Rangers today to beat the Capitals because I want the Capitals out of the playoff race. No for the MSG game. Oh, nah, I wasn't gonna wear an Islanders jersey. I'm not trying to die, Luis, but yes, that's very funny. Yeah, no way. I'm not one of those people. I always see those people that wear like one of the games we went to, there was a Blackhawks jersey. It's like, dude, why are you wearing a Blackhawks jersey? They aren't even playing. Like that's how I look at it. Those are some of the stupidest fans. I couldn't do it. I'd be such a hypocrite if I wore an Islanders jersey to that game. I would just be looking to piss people off, which sometimes is funny, but in that circumstance, it really wasn't worth it. We saw people get the Newark police kicking people out of the game. It was wild. Very wild atmosphere there in Newark. They are a Chicago fan. That's why. There you go, Luis. That's probably the answer. Surreal said the Isles do play tonight versus the Canes. Yeah, that's going to be a big game in Carolina. Yeah, the Islanders just do not match up well against either of these teams, the Hurricanes and the Lightning. The Islanders, I think the last time they won in Amalie Arena was during the playoffs, game one of the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the last time they've won in Tampa. And during the regular season, I think it was even sooner than that. It was before the pandemic. I think it was like 2019 was the last time the Islanders won in Tampa. So to expect them to win the other night, it definitely would have been a pretty big feat. So Urban brings up a good question. He said, "Will Barzell play again this year?" So Lou Lamoriello came out the other day and gave us some updates on some of the Islanders. So the latest on Matt Barzell is he is very close to returning. They were even saying the other day on Friday he could potentially be back either for Tampa last night or today against Carolina. I think at some point this week, Matt Barzell will be back in the lineup for the Islanders. As far as Oliver Wahlstrom, we haven't seen him play since November. I believe it was a game against the Philadelphia Flyers, and he had kind of an awkward hit. He will not be back for the rest of this season, whether it's regular season or playoffs. We will not see Oliver Wahlstrom back in the Islanders' colors until next year. And the Islanders do have to sign him. He is a pending RFA this year, so Barzell will be back in the lineup for the Islanders. And what's incredible is the fact the Islanders have played this well without Matt Barzell, which a lot of people said the Islanders were left for dead. When Barzell went down with that injury, the Islanders had a ton of games in hand on some of these other teams, but, you know, none of those teams won those games that they had. And, and the problem is with those games in hand, it only matters if you win. And chances are you're playing a lot of back-to-backs and 3 games in 4 nights. And those teams were not able to capitalize and were not on sort of a hot swing when they had a lot of those games, and they weren't able to win them. So the Islanders are still absolutely in the running for one of those playoff spots. And they've won some pretty crucial games here the last couple weeks. They did lose that game to Buffalo. That game against Washington probably put the nail in the coffin for the Washington Capitals. They're kind of fighting for their playoff lives today against the Rangers. It's kind of a last hope. But giving the Islanders not only 1 point the other night in that shootout, but giving them that second point just really was a dagger that just right into the guts of the Capitals and kind of twisting the knife. A really tough loss for the Caps at home the other day against the Islanders. But they do meet up again one more time in Washington before the end of this season this week. So we'll see how things go. Maybe the Capitals can get some revenge and have a last-minute sprint to the finish, but it's going to take a lot for the Capitals to get into the playoffs at this point. PJ said, "Kev, what playoff format do you like, the current one or the old one?" So I assume you're talking about the 1 through 8. I got to be honest, I like the 1 through 16 even better. I'd love to see different teams playing each other in the first round. I understand travel-wise why they do it. It makes sense. But in terms of, like, I would love to see, like, Nashville versus the Islanders in the first round, right? Like, I think that would be kind of interesting to see different matchups. So in that event, I do think it would be a little bit better. I know it defeats the whole point of the conference system, but honestly, 1 through 16, I think would be cool. I'm down for the traditional 1 through 8. Yeah, that's the more feasible one. I would take that too. But Islanders versus Flames first round. There you go, PJ. Yeah, I just want to see different matchups, right? And I get they want to have more like Tampa versus Toronto, Toronto versus Boston, Washington, Pittsburgh. Like, I get it with the current format, but I don't know. I think the different matchups would be kind of interesting as well. But we'll see how things go. So right now I'm trying to get the game because you guys know how this works. Whatever my featured game is, Vancouver versus Tampa. Yeah, that would be kind of interesting, Urban. Whatever is my featured game, for some reason, I'm never able to get that game on a live stream. It happens so often. It's ridiculous. It happens almost every time. PJ said, "Kev, what's the best way to piss off Rangers fans at MSG?" Semyon Varlamov starting because the Rangers do not score on Varlamov. That's how you piss them off, PJ. They see Semyon Varlamov starting, they don't score goals, and the boring Islanders come in there and beat them 2-1 or 1-0 or 3-0 or something dumb, and they just suffocate the life out of the Rangers. That is the best way to piss off Rangers fans. Yep. Great question, though, PJ. Yeah, how interesting would that be? Vancouver versus Tampa, first round. That is the reason that playoff format doesn't exist. But again, we're talking about the world that doesn't really exist, but would look really cool. That's kind of where that kind of falls into. PJ said, I was thinking of buying a Rangers jersey at MSG and then mopping the floor with it, maybe a Jacob Trouba jersey. I can't say I would completely disagree with that, but listen, I don't know. I don't know what it is with Trouba. I think a lot of Rangers fans would agree with me on this. Like, I think a lot of it had to do with the players in the locker room, but I got to be honest. I think Kreider would have been a better captain for the Rangers. It just when Trouba's on the ice, he's very slow. He's making a lot of money, and honestly, like he looks grumpy out there. He doesn't look like he's enjoying himself. Like he doesn't look like he's having fun out there. I don't know. When I think of New York Rangers, Mr. Ranger a couple years back, it's Chris Kreider. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but I don't know. Surreal said, if the Jets miss the playoffs, do you see many teams going after Hellebuck? Honestly, Surreal, I just don't think they would trade Hellebuck. I think they would get rid of anybody this year except Hellebuck. We've been hearing a lot of stuff that, with Rick Bowness in there as the new head coach, Paul Maurice kind of shielded a lot of those veterans from accountability. Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, and maybe to an extent, a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois. But that team really fell apart when Bufflin left. And I think that a lot of stuff off the ice has been kind of changing, and there's been a metamorphosis of this team. They had their run. They had some good opportunities. They got to the conference final a couple times, but the Winnipeg Jets, the current team as we know it, will be going away this summer. I could see them trying to make some moves and move some guys out like Scheifele and Wheeler and some of those other guys like Dubois. We know he's going to Montreal. It's just, is he going to go during the summer in a trade or is he going to sign there? I don't really know. But again, I think the Jets, like I said, as we know it, are probably going to be done. PJ said, do you agree with Wheeler being stripped of his captaincy? I'm usually not a big fan of that, PJ, but I think it sends a message, right? And I think that was part of the thing, was Maurice leaving definitely took that loyalty that he had to some of those guys. They were uncomfortable with Rick Bowness. It wasn't the same way with Paul Maurice, and we're starting to see the fallout from that. And like I said, I think this is kind of inevitable, but it definitely sends a message in the locker room. But it's one of those things. It definitely creates a lot of headlines that maybe are they necessary or not. We've seen the Sharks do it a couple times where, right, Marlowe was the captain, then Thornton was the captain, then this guy's the captain, then Pavelski's the captain. Like, I don't think that's good either. But I think it, like I said, it was definitely to send a message of the new regime. And that's really what I think it was all about. Urban said Hellebuck has to have better defense in front of him. His lateral movement is abysmal. Yeah, that's true. PJ said Paul Maurice is a terrible coach. I don't know why Panthers hired him. And at the time, I agreed with you, PJ. But looking at it right now, he's one of those coaches that's kind of weird. Like, I think he just had his shelf life there in Winnipeg. He was there for a long time. I don't know if I could sit here today and tell you he's a bad coach. I don't know. It's hard because the guy they had last year, I already forgot his name, and he's an assistant somewhere else. But when they win the President's Trophy last year, get a new coach, and they're fighting it out in the last couple of days for a playoff spot, it's kind of hard to say, well, maybe he just isn't that good of a coach, right? So I don't know. It's kind of weird with Paul Maurice. I don't necessarily consider myself a fan of Maurice, but I can understand why teams like him as like like I said, the way he handled Scheifele and Wheeler and some of those guys, he's a loyalist to his core players. But sometimes that's to a fault. And I wonder if that's kind of what's going on to a lesser extent in Florida right now. Surreal said, do you remember when the Wild used to change the captain multiple times a season? Yeah, it was so dumb. Like that co-captain stuff. That's such BS. That is like corporate. That's like co-assistant manager like that. It's that kind of BS. There's no you need one person for that role, right? You don't need five different co-captains and stuff like that. I think that's the most corporate thing ever, and it never works. What do they do when they lift the cup? They all lift the cup together, one hand, you know? I don't know. It's dumb. Urban said that was the early expansion days then. They chose Koivu. Yup. And look how much better things got when they did. Up and Filipino. So the Rangers score first. Oh, never mind. Miller. All right. So the Rangers get the lead. They needed that first goal because the last couple games they've given up the first goal, and it seems like they're just reeling the rest of the game, right? The last two games to the Devils and Sabres, they were down 2-0 in both of those games. So this is a big goal for them. Kemper does not look good. Even the one goal he gave up against the Islanders, it was right at him. He should have stopped it. He's been really very disappointing this season. Yeah, they're saying it now. He's got to have that. Yeah. Yes, Urban did bring up Hedl got an extension. Yes, he did. And that was a really good move by the Rangers. Very cheap. I think it was like a little less than 5 million. It was like 4.7 something. Incredible deal for the Rangers. It's a 4-year deal though, which is a bridge deal. In 4 years from now, he's probably going to hit the free agent market though. He'll be in his late 20s, early 30s. He's going to make some dough at that point. PJ said if Daryl Sutter isn't the coach of the Flames next season, which coach should the Flames pursue? I was going to say something really mean. I was going to say Mike Babcock. I don't see that happening. I could see them going after like a younger guy. Like I think a guy like Bob Bugner would be good there in Calgary. I don't know. I've always been a Bob Bugner fan ever since he was in Florida. He bounced around. He was with San Jose. I don't know. I look at Bugner as a guy to watch there. There's also been a lot of stuff going on with Kuznetsov. Now, apparently, Kuznetsov, there's always been reports with Kuznetsov in the sense that ever since they won the cup in 18, it's wow. Lafreniere just scored a really nice goal. But again, this is another goal Kemper's got to have. He's got to have that. It's a good play by Lafreniere on the backhand, but you got to make that save, Kemper. Hedl to Lafreniere. Between the legs, backhand. Yeah, Kemper's got to save that. There's no reason. There's no excuse for that. But for Kuznetsov, I think this is the summer he finally gets traded. Depending on what happens with Winnipeg and Calgary, I think those are teams that could go after Kuzi this summer. But again, the problem with Kuznetsov is he's getting paid a lot of money. And for his production here the last couple of years, some of his off-ice semantics, is this a guy that a lot of teams necessarily want in their lineup right now? I don't know. I'm going to keep watching here for this Rangers Caps game because now it's 2-0 Rangers. I think we're going to see some stuff here from the Caps. This is what they always do when they come out of the gate slow and Wilson and Ovechkin start hitting and getting a little dirty. So I'm expecting something to happen here. Mark my words on this one because I think something's going to happen here. Patrick Kane has been disappointing. Yeah, PJ, he has been disappointing. I don't know. I think a lot of it is just he was so comfortable in Chicago. I think he's just having a hard time adjusting. But again, there's really no excuse for that. But still, it's definitely a thing. And I think right now he's having a hard time. Again, it's different for Kane too because he's not of course he's a star, but he's not the star on the Rangers, right? There's so much going on there. His ice time does get depleted. It's not the same ice time he was getting in Chicago where everybody was feeding him the puck all the time. He got top power play minutes, probably played the whole power play if he could. It's not like that with the Rangers. It's a different beast and people don't understand that, right? Like the productivity, there's a what's it called? There's the exponential curve where it only you can only squeeze out so much lemonade from a lemon, right? And if you've got 15 lemonades, you end up losing productivity out of it. If you get what I'm saying. There's 60 minutes in a hockey game. You can't give 50 minutes of ice time to Kane, Panarin, Zibanejad, right? You get what I'm saying? It's more spread out, which is good for the team concept, but for the player as an individual, it does hurt their productivity. And I think we're seeing that right now with Kane. Maybe a little bit of an adjustment period. PJ said, I didn't see the Wild in the second round last year. Oh, okay, here we go. Uh-oh. You guys. And if you guys can, make sure to like the video if you can. I definitely appreciate that. We're already up to 8 likes. Let's see if we can get it up to 10 likes here. And like I said, if you want to guarantee that I answer your question, don't be afraid to leave a super chat as well to help support the channel. But like I said, if the least you can do is like the video, that gets it more across the platform here on YouTube. So, and that's free. So thank you very much if you could do that. Surreal said, even though he doesn't have to be the guy, I'm sure the Rangers fans are disappointed in his progress. Yeah. Yep. So there you go. So Washington takes a penalty. So the Rangers up 2-0. They go on the power play. Let's see if Kane can get a goal here. He's been due. Lazy penalty. Lazy penalty. So some of the other games we have today, we have a couple of afternoon games, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Boston heads out to St. Louis to take on the St. Louis Blues. 6 o'clock, Ottawa and Columbus there in Columbus, Ohio. Pretty big game in PPG Paints Arena tonight. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers meet up in Pittsburgh in the Steel City. That should be a good game. Also at 6 o'clock, we've got the Islanders heading down to Carolina as they continue their East Coast swing, starting in Washington, Tampa, and now Carolina before they head back home to take on Tampa on Tuesday. That's at 6 o'clock as well. Our 7 o'clock games, we've got the Devils heading to Winnipeg, the Red Wings going up to Toronto, also at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern, we've got the Kings going to Vancouver, and the Anaheim Ducks going into Calgary to take on the Calgary Flames. So that is your matchups here on this Sunday, April 2nd. So, what do you guys think of the Tampa versus Toronto series? Who do you guys think is going to win that series? I think it's going to be really tight. I think it's important who gets home ice advantage, though, because I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series. Um, no, honestly, how do you not bet on Tampa? It's real until Toronto slays the dragon. It's hard if you're a betting man. It's hard not to go for the Lightning. Yo, we got a super chat, $2.79 Canadian from PJ. He said Tampa in 6. Thank you so much, PJ. So Urban says Tampa in 4. So Tampa in 6, Tampa in 4. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, it's just, how do you not bet on Tampa here, right? I know Toronto's done a lot. This is the best they've looked, but still, it's the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? There's a reason they've been as good as they have for so long. So we'll see what happens, but definitely something to watch for. That's going to be a really good series, though. I'm interested to see that one. That's going to be a very hype series. What is your favorite series other than that, though, that you want to see? Is it the Rangers Devils? I think that would be a really good matchup. Who do you want Boston to play? If you're a Bruins fan, or if you're not a Bruins fan, most of you guys aren't Bruins fans, who would you like to see Boston play? Would you rather see them play the Islanders, the Panthers, the Penguins, the Sabres? As much as I'd love to see Buffalo play Boston, and imagine the Sabres beat the Bruins. I don't think it's going to happen. They're too young, but that would be kind of a good series. Um, who has the best chance at beating Boston? I think the Islanders and the Panthers right now, out of the entire Eastern Conference, funny enough, is those two wild card spots. I think those are the two teams that have the best shot at beating the Bruins, right? So for all the hard work of winning the President's Trophy, winning the Eastern Conference, winning the division, the Bruins play probably the toughest teams that they can play against in the first round. So we'll see what happens. He just said Boston versus Islanders, Islanders in 7. That would be incredible, right? The Islanders did beat the Bruins. You guys, the Bruins fans seem to forget 2021 when the Islanders closed out Nassau Coliseum. They beat those Bruins in 2021 in 6 games. Just saying. I know it's like, oh, that was 2 years ago, but yeah, still, it did happen. Boston Tampa would be the best matchup in the East, and that's a second round matchup. How crazy is that, Urban? Right? Like, it's kind of insane when you think about it. What's up, Morgan? Welcome to the chat. Surreal. I think everybody has that same sentiment outside of Boston. I hope Boston gets swept in the first round. I think a lot of people have that thought right now. Good stuff, Morgan. He's on his way to church. Good stuff, man. So we're here in the final minute of the Capitals Rangers game. 2-0 Rangers. Not a good first period by Kemper at all. Both goals kind of on Darcy Kemper here. I think the Capitals fans are kind of realizing that they lose today, that's pretty much it. If they lose today and the Islanders win, that's probably all she wrote for the Washington Capitals. Yo, we got a super chat from PJ. Thank you so much. $7 Canadian. He said, let's fund the channel so that Kev can use this money for Islanders tickets for when they make the playoffs. You already know I'll be there. I will be there as long as I don't have work. I will be at those playoff games. Thank you so much, PJ. And the reason we have this soundboard is partially because of PJ. He really helped us out there. So thank you so much, PJ. Yes, PJ, I do have Instagram. It should be in the description under the video. All right, so here is our live stream segment. We have to do the tankathon. Guys, with the latest odds right now, the bottom 5 teams to hashtag tank for Bedard, the Chicago Blackhawks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks, and Montreal Canadiens. Guys, who's getting the first overall pick and getting Connor Bedard? Let me know in the comment section real quick. I'll give you guys a second. Leave it down below who is going to win our mock draft lottery. Let me know down below real quick. And it's crazy how much of a drop-off there is between winning the first overall pick and having the second pick. 25.5% chance at the number 1 pick for the 32nd team in the NHL standings. That's the Blackhawks today. And then you got Columbus, Anaheim, San Jose, and Montreal. So let's see. So you guys, San Jose, Columbus. All right, we got a couple of interesting teams in there. So let's see what you guys got here. So let's sim the lottery. Interesting result. So at number 3, the Black. Okay, so here's the top 5. So Anaheim moved down 2 spots. They are number 5. Columbus moved down 2 spots. They're number 4. Chicago moved down 2 spots from the first pick. They will draft 3rd overall, which means 2 teams have jumped up. The Sharks move from the 4 spot up to the number 2 spot. The San Jose Sharks move up 2 spots. And the number 1 pick, Red Wings fans will be cheering because all those years that they finished at the bottom of the NHL standings, couldn't get the first overall pick, they move up 8 spots in this year's draft lottery to draft 1st overall. How funny would that be for Red Wings fans? After all the BS they've dealt with trying to tank every year, and the 1 year they don't tank, they move up 8 spots and get the 1st overall pick. That would be kind of funny. PJ said, Red Wings, what a waste of a first pick. Wow, that would be interesting if Detroit really did. Oof. Yeah, so that's what we got. So Detroit was the big mover there. That would be kind of funny, though. PJ says, I kind of want the Canucks to get the first pick. That would be kind of interesting because I think especially with Matt Beniers in Seattle. I know. Yeah. Okay. Matt Beniers in Seattle. McDavid in Edmonton. You know, Kev, who was your pick to win the cup? Really hard guess. But honestly, I'm going with Boston right now. Until they lose, I'm going with the Bruins, man. Yeah, I think Vancouver could really use him. And again, hometown kid, right? He's from North Vancouver. It makes a lot of sense. But again, you're also looking at it in the perspective of, you know, is it good for growing the game? That's where a team like Columbus or Arizona or one of those non-traditional hockey markets getting a guy like Bedard, that's where it might be a little bit a little bit better. He just said I'm going with the Avs. Not a bad pick at all. Oh my god. Yeah, so Surreal said, then the Red Wings throw a curveball and pick Michkov at number one. Yeah, that would be kind of funny, right? But again, there's been a lot of people that are saying that Eisenman really likes the Matvei Michkov kid. If there's a team that maybe drafts like between like 10 and 15, and either he's still on the board or maybe the Red Wings want to move up to like 6 or 7 and he's still on the board, the Red Wings are a team to watch. I think they could do it. I think that Eisman would be willing to make that move to move up 5 or 6 spots. Yeah, no, whoever's drafting first overall is taking Bedard. No, absolutely. It's like, I would say 99.9% chance Connor Bedard goes first overall. There's really not a ton of debate there. Also, something I've been seeing a lot again recently. This happened during the winter, but Connor Bedard was doing a signing and he signed some girl's jersey, and his the mom or like friend was recording, and she's like, "Are you going to ask him?" And the girl was really shy, and it was something like, "Will you be my Valentine?" And he's like, I don't know." And then the mom's like, "Just say yes." Like, how weird is that? It was such. If you guys have not seen that video, it is like really awkward. I do feel bad for Bedard there. It was just like, why are you forcing him to say yes? Like, it's just weird. A very weird situation that you would even ask that in the first place and then kind of force him to say yes. And then you're recording it. So now he looks bad. It was very, very odd. But I'm sure you guys have seen that at some point. And if you haven't, you should, because it was quite cringe. If you're looking for something cringeworthy here this afternoon, that's something to look at. Kev, you should do vlogs. I don't know, PJ. I don't know how comfortable I am doing that. We'll see. Maybe. And also for the we're gonna start the community tab for Goal Line Hockey. You guys unanimously said Discord. So I'm gonna look into maybe getting a Discord server up for Goal Line Hockey. So stay tuned for that. So congratulations to the Discord people out there, because we're gonna have a Discord at some point. So, like I said, keep an eye out for that here over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, let's go, PJ. Yup. The whole cap just fell off. PJ. Surreal said, "What's Discord?" So basically, it's like a community tab where you can post stuff. You have a bunch of people join a certain community where you post things and stuff like that. It's a good way to grow the community, right? And I think that's kind of what we're looking for, and I think that's a perfect outlet to do that. So, like I said, Surreal, I'll give you more information once I actually do it. But it's Discord. What are your thoughts on Rumble? Honestly, PJ, it's not even that I don't like it. I like the concept. It's just not really good yet. Like, it's not a good app. Um, at some point, I might end up moving to Rumble, depending on how things go. But at this point, there's just a lot of. It's very difficult to use. It's not very user friendly. I like the premise behind it. I like the idea behind it, but in terms of actual using it, it's not there yet. But great question, PJ. Top 5 goal horns in the NHL. Ooh, that's a good one. I really like Vancouver's. I think Vancouver's is very interesting. Vancouver, Boston, Washington. Calgary's got a pretty good one. I don't know if I would put them in the top 5. Those are definitely 3, though, I would look at because they're unique. They're very different than the other ones, right? Like Washington, it sounds like a fire truck. Vancouver's is very deep, and Calgary's is very like high pitched. And Boston's is Boston, right? Like that one just very just the whole thing with the Bruins horn is very unique. I kind of like Ottawa's. Ottawa has a very nice one too. Montreal has a nice one too, Urban. Yup. Thank you. Oh, why are they showing tumors? I don't want to see this. Oh my god. Ugh. What the heck? What are people watching on TV? Oh my god. God damn. Put that shit away. Yeah, Florida has a nice goal horn too. Minnesota has a nice one too. Oh, I have to show you guys something I got. How freaky is that? Grady's a weird looking guy, right? Freaky looking dude. But yeah, we have our Gritty cup. And the Gritty plushes are like extremely expensive. It's ridiculous. Not happening. One scoop. Why are you so weird about it? I know. Hold on, guys. All right, we are back. There's only a handful I even like, so many are too high pitched for me. You know who has a nice goal horn too? The Flyers. It's extremely loud. Out of all the rinks that I went to last week, the Flyers goal horn was the loudest. Extremely loud. Who's your pick for the heart? I mean, it's hard to say not McDavid, but if you want kind of an interesting pick, I like Jack Hughes. I think Jack Hughes is kind of an underrated pick. That's who I'm going to go with. I think it is going to be McDavid, but underrated, more interesting, intriguing pick. I'm going to go with Jack Hughes. Allmark is a good pick for the heart too, but honestly, he's going to end up winning the Vezina. Honestly, like Hellebuck is right there too. The problem is if the Jets miss the playoffs, it's going to be harder to make the argument that Hellebuck should win it. But either way, I think Hellebuck should. Honestly, he has meant so much to that team. PJ said, if you could be GM from one team, which team you choosing? Can't say the New York teams. So there's a lot of things to consider. You want a passionate fan base, that you like the area, and the ownership. I think the ownership has a lot to do with it. I want to have some control over my team. I don't want the owner telling me everything that I can and can't do. Honestly, Vegas. Probably Vegas. I think I would take the Vegas job. Great question, PJ. I'm sure Morgan wouldn't mind me being the GM of the Vegas Golden Knights, but PJ thought I thought you were going to say Oilers. No way, PJ. I ain't going to Canada. Not happening, man. Don't worry about that. Don't you worry. I ain't taking over the Oilers anytime soon. I'll let that rot with Ken Holland. All right, guys. We just hit the hour mark. It's kind of slow today. So let me know your guys' last couple of questions before I head out. It's been kind of slow today. Not going to lie. He just said, "What do you think of the Flames signing the Long Island boy?" Yeah, Matt Coronado, good pickup, really good pickup. You look at the future of the Flames, it sucks right now, right? But Connor Zary coming in, Jakob Pelletier, you have Rasmus Anderson. I almost said Mikey Anderson, Rasmus Anderson, Dustin Wolf, the goalie looks really good. Um, and Matt Coronado. I mean, you're really building a pretty good base there. So, it is what it is with the whole Flame situation right now, but the future does look bright for that team right now. Urban said, "Do you think Mason Shaw's career is over if it's his fourth ACL?" Oh man, that's a shame. I really hope it's not, but it might be, unfortunately, Urban. If that's true, yeah, he got injured the other night, right? That's a shame. Yeah, so like I said, a couple of teams are officially eliminated from the playoffs. We knew Columbus, not really that shocking. The Blue Jackets, they are what they are. They're not a very good team. They'll be more competitive next year, I think. Montreal, kind of the same thing, but they've shown promise, but the goaltending has not been good, and their defense has not been good. So there's a lot of things that have to change there. Philadelphia just the other day got eliminated. Yeah, they've looked better recently, but too little, too late. John Tortorella is still there, so they're going to be a competitive team, similar next year, I would expect. But definitely some changes coming in Philadelphia. You think about like Kevin Hayes, what's his future? James Van Riemsdyk, does he even come back to the NHL? Does he retire? Does he sign a cheap deal somewhere? I'm not really sure what he's thinking. Can they trade out Tony D? Can they trade out D'Angelo? Can they move a guy like Carter Hart? It's going to be a couple of interesting things going on there. Couturier, Konechny. Do they trade any of those guys? Um, in the Western Conference, Chicago and Anaheim got eliminated pretty early, so we know their story. They're rebuilding. Same thing for the Sharks and the Coyotes. And Vancouver and St. Louis are the other two teams that are missing, but I think they are going to be a lot closer next year in terms of being competitive. I think the Blues could even win the division next year if things fall in the right place. They get a stable goaltender. The Blues are going to be a really good team. This is going to be a quick turnaround for them. And similar for the Canucks, but for a different reason. I don't really know what the Canucks are doing. They're not bottoming out. Patrick Alvin and Jim Rutherford are kind of said we're retooling on the fly. We heard this before in Vancouver. Doesn't normally end well doing the patchwork mission, but that seems to be what they are doing in Vancouver. So I think the Canucks could be back in the playoffs next year. You have really good players like Jonathan Lekkerimäki, Vasily Podkolzin continuing to come up. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. Same thing for the Blues. Depending on what happens with Nashville and Calgary, two of those three teams are going to be disappointed, whether it's Calgary, Nashville, or Winnipeg. So we'll see who ends up getting that playoff spot. But it is definitely an interesting race right now between those three squads. Nashville's played Seattle a couple of times, but they lost, in overtime a couple of times and just couldn't find a way to win those games. That is going to come back to bite you. And we're starting to see Seattle starting, the extra 3-point cushion definitely looks pretty good for them at this point with just a couple of games left to go. He just said, Kev, how far do you see the Flames going in the playoffs if they make it? Again, a lot of that goes to Jacob Markstrom. If Jacob Markstrom is Jacob Markstrom from during the season last year, the sky's the limit. If he looks like he did against that series against the Oilers, it's going to be a quick playoffs for the Flames. Urban, I think JVR is a UFA this summer, so there's no worrying about retention with James Van Riemsdyk. He will be a UFA. I don't know how Seattle's in the playoffs. They had a really good run in January. And the Mets are playing terrible. Oh, here we go. Oh, you meant Kevin Hayes. Yeah, you know what? I've heard a lot of rumors, Urban, that Minnesota would be a good place. I didn't really think of that, but I think he wants to go to Columbus. There's been ties with him to the Blue Jackets. I think the Blue Jackets are looking to get another center. You know, I could see him being a good fit. Yo, what's going on, Ali Desh? What's going on, my man? There you go. Yeah, they played together in Boston College, right? BC. Why would anyone want to live in Ohio? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Ali Desh. That's a great point. What's going on, PJ? All of Ohio is bad. Yeah, it's not there's not much to do in Ohio, honestly. I'd want to live in western Wisconsin and play in Minnesota. Oh, geez. Yeah, Ali Dash. Yeah, PJ's just messing with us saying Dobson's injured. He's not injured. Nope. He already got injured earlier this year. He's done. No more injuries for Dobson. He had his time off. Ali Dash. Come on, you were doing groceries during a live stream. Come on, Ali Dash. The Islanders do have a very good decor, PJ. Yes. The only problem is I'm not completely sold on Dobson and Romanov. Like Romanov has looked better recently, but honestly, like I said, in terms of Dobson, his defensive play has been atrocious for the Islanders. He's had a couple really bad turnovers, and for amount that he actually does offensively, it's a liability. But Dobson, again, I hope he gets it together. But where did Dobson come from? So he played in the QMJHL with the Acadie Bathurst Trojans. Ali Desh is going to kill me because he's closer to the QMJHL than I am up there in Ottawa. But it's the QMJHL, and he was a first round pick of the Islanders. Funny enough, PJ, that was the Calgary Flames' first round pick from the Travis Hamonic trade. Fun fact there. So Travis Hamonic is now Noah Dobson for the Islanders. You guys are hysterical. Ali Detch just comes in here like a goddamn savage. Holy shit, man! All right, you guys are just being insane in here. You guys are funny. Yeah, so Ali Dash, like I said, unfortunately, this is the end of the live stream. Um, it's the Acadia Bathurst Trojans or something like that. But like I said, guys, leave your last couple questions here. Kev's a quitter. Oh, come on, guys. No, I'm gonna be back. I want to do a live stream tomorrow. My plan is to do another live stream tomorrow. It's all late games. So maybe the yeah, stay tuned tomorrow, guys. Either the 8 o'clock, it's gonna be probably the 8 or the 8:30 game. Yeah, I could do Wild Vegas. 8 o'clock tomorrow, guys. Stay tuned for tomorrow. I'll be back with you guys. Um Live stream the Jets versus Flames game. When is that? Jets and Flames. I don't know when that is. Oh, on Wednesday. Ooh, that is kind of a big game. I could do that too. I could do that as well. We'll see. Yeah, that is kind of a big game on Wednesday. But again, I have work, so I can't do it at 7:30. It's going to be probably a later game. But yeah, like I said, definitely tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Minnesota, Vegas. I'll give you guys the update during the day tomorrow. And Wednesday, we'll see. To be determined. But if you guys have not already, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And guys, I'll see you again tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern for the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this stream. And I'll see you guys again next time. Shout out to PJ again for the big super chat. You're my man. I appreciate that a ton. And like I said, guys, thank you so much. Goodbye.